Um, so I just wanted to just record a little video because today we had to euthanize our cat Lex Luthor. We had for like 13 years. We got him in January of 2007, and he was born in late 2005. Um, After buying the house, our first apartment, Lex Luthor was basically the first other purchase that we made. Me and Monique, and we always joked that, oh, I guess we're in for it now because we were responsible for a third life and not just ourselves anymore. And Lex Luthor, he was a cat, but anybody who's had pets knows that like cats and dogs especially because these are creatures that like wander around your house and are a part of your lives, a part of the things that you do. They become like family members. And so, today having to euthanize him in terms of his own physical well-being, he kind of just fell off the cliff today in terms of just his mobility and his drive to do anything. And he really fought pretty hard the last couple days and the last couple weeks to try and come back, but he couldn't do it, and he eventually basically passed from skin cancer that had just kind of gone rampant, and so. I'm really making this video for the kids because this is like your first brush with death, meaning not that you physically were in peril or anything, but this is the first time anything in your life that you guys were close to, that you had interaction with all the time, every day, well, not all the time, but you know what I mean, died, passed away. And I just wanted to reflect on that for just a couple minutes while it was still sort of fresh in my mind. I mean, I unfortunately have had to experience a lot of, death in my life, both, of animals, but also of people. And, I want you guys to know that unfortunately, death is a part of our lives. And recently, Ellery, you were asking me about like what happens after death, and do people know what happens after death? And you were talking a little bit about sort of being scared about the idea that maybe there was nothing after death. And the reality is nobody knows. Nobody knows what happens after we die. But what we do know, as the people who are left behind and are still here and living our lives and moving forward, is that truly those that you really care about and the ones that you really connect with, those that pass on, you think about them, all the time. And at first, that memory is very painful. It can be a painful experience to remember, because what you're remembering is what you're missing. You're missing the person, you're missing the animal. And sometimes, gosh, that feeling can get so overwhelming. I mean, today after Luther was gone, and we knew that he was not going to make it, I found a SpongeBob bowl that was his food dish, and it just brought up like many memories of when we first had him and were living with him. And pardon me, and I started wailing, but that was sort of like the deep sadness of knowing that this sort of steady influence in my life for 13 years that has always been there, has always been waiting to come home, has made Monique, your mom, so happy and calm, and has always been sort of a calming, feature in the house, is gone. You know, that's a big loss. He was more than a cat. He was that animal, that fixture that was, you were able to talk to, no judgment. He would just meow at you. And, you know, ultimately, where this is going is this idea that, death in terms of the person who, or creature that died, yeah, is permanent. But for you, the memories and the ideas and the feelings that that person or the animal brought in you are really the most lasting form of like eternal life that you can have as any living creature. So, even to this day, still thinking about Mr. Miyagi, and he passed away 10 years ago, but I still think about him. There's still stuff that our cat Chewbacca does that every once in a while I think, oh, that's something that Miyagi would have done. And you still think about that. You know, obviously my father passed away 20 years ago, and, you know, at first the memory was so hard and so difficult to sort of think about that it was just not something that I wanted to experience. But now when I think of my dad, it's all in generalities, just kind of very positive. You know, things like his birthday and the anniversary of his passing and Father's Day. Yeah, those things bring up that sort of longing and that missing. But in my mind, I was super lucky, and I've always been massively lucky to have very positive and great memories with my dad to always look back on. And so, you know, while I'm thinking about the fact that we just lost Lex, you know, I'm also thinking about, you know, all the times that he was there and the things that he experienced with us and the different homes that we've lived in and he moved around with us, that, you know, that stuff never leaves. That stuff never goes. And there'll be always times when we'll see a picture or a video or, you know, Chewbacca or Rizzo, or at some point a new animal or pet does something that will just remind us of him. And that's a living memory. That's a memory that means that he never actually dies because he's still there. You can still remember. I can still remember the feel of his fur and the things that, you know, made him the animal he was, which was that sort of like always being calm and there and just wanting your attention without much in the way of like expectation, which is nice, you know. So, you know, I just wanted to reflect and say that, you know, just sorry that you guys had to experience this so early. You know, I always thought that maybe he would pass when you guys were your teenagers, you know, that he would live to be much older only because he was an indoor cat. But, you know, unfortunately the skin cancer got him, and, you know, it didn't happen that way. So just know that, you know, where he is a better place than where he was immediately before he died. No pain, no uncomfortableness. He can eat all he wants without throwing up, you know. So that's all. I love you guys, and, you know, if you think about it, just think fondly, remember, and smile. All right. Bye, guys.